Hi, welcome to the overview for the JustSell rental software. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at a few different assets which can be hired out via this through the system. We're going to look at how the billing works for that, as there's a couple of different options and methods available. How you can then potentially link that to your website to capture inquiries, and then also a little bit around the reporting and how that looks from for example, for when running monthly transactions and getting data out of the system. So to get started, we're going to lead it from the inquiry section, and then I'll talk a bit more about some of the systems. To give you an idea, this is one of our clients at the moment using the system, and the way it works is the categories and everything that you're seeing below here, these all come directly out of the hire system. So these are tools, for example, that they're offering to their customers. Let's say I go into drilling and breaking. They can see, for example, you can set what the X VAT per day rate is. You can attach images against that. Customer can go in, click on that, see a breakdown based on however you charge out your asset. And what they can do is they can click here to inquire. They can choose a date, put the first name, last name, email address, phone number, and so on. What that will then do is that will fall into your system with an inquiry. It will also send an email notification out to yourselves saying that somebody has inquired about a tool. And from there you can take it a bit further. They just handle those manually at the moment. If, for example, you were interested in capturing a deposit, again, that is also something the system can do. So let's say we've now captured that inquiry. What would then happen is it would then fall into the inquiry module into our system. You could see, for example, the date and time, inquirer's name. What will happen is I would click on that inquirer's name, see their email address, phone number, and for example, what asset they've inquired about, and then if they've got any special requests, like for example, you can see here. What you can do from here is you can convert that directly into a quote or directly into an actual booking. You also have the option here of the response manager, so if you don't handle those separately or outside of the system, you can also use the response manager and respond directly to the inquiry from within the system. Before I go into bookings, I'll cover the assets slightly. So coming into the assets, in our system or in our JustSell hire rental system, there are a lot of options available in terms of what assets you can actually offer and provide to your end customer. So at the moment, this tool hire system that I'm showing you, we can do everything from skips to Kango hammers to jack lifts. Everything is available and is an option in there. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you a couple of other systems and some of the other assets we offer out. So as I was saying, a couple of ideas of some of the other assets that can be hired out from the system. So you have, for example, vehicles and trucks. We have also containers, so if for example you do cabins, or like you'll see them on building sites, we can also rent out cabins via the system. And then last but not least, we also can hire out forklifts. The reason the systems are separate slightly, you can handle them all under one, that's not a problem, but the reason systems are separate is because some of the invoicing is done separately based on the type of company and that type of stuff. So again, if you want them all under one, not a problem, can be done like that, but it would basically the way you charge, mainly from a month end, would need to look the same. Coming back into the system, to give you an idea about the way the assets are charged, so obviously we have the asset, we capture, for example, its category, colors. If you want to capture any images, you can also do that. Keep in mind, if you want to show it on the website, we do recommend you have an image against that. And then you have asset rates. So what you can do is you can put in, for example, purchase dates, the costs. You can also calculate depreciation from that asset if that's something you're interested in. And then we also show the charges for that. So you might charge a deposit, you charge the week rate, a day rate, and a weekend rate. So typically our day rate goes up to 3 days, and then anything after that we deem as a week rate. Or if you'd want to do your week rate as 7 days, you can do that. Again, something we would have sort of a bit of a discussion around. And then a weekend rate if, for example, you charge a flat rate over that. And again, that's something that is possible. And then SEO, we do a bit of SEO. So obviously, as I was showing earlier in the video, if you're showing assets on the website, you can put SEO info and details in there around that, which does reflect on your website side. And then a bit of an idea. So some of the assets, again, some of the vehicle hires are charged slightly differently. So you, for example, can capture deposits, week rates again, and again, short day and long day rate. The very base is very much the same, but again, as you charge out your systems or your assets differently, that's something we'd have a bit of a discussion around. And then coming over to the bookings, the bigger part of the system, and we go into an existing booking, you can see there's a lot of options available here, but to give you a bit of an idea, you can invoice out to a customer either based on account, or you can do it based on what we call a hire cash account, so that might be just a member of the public. You can select the invoice address and delivery address, and again, that information populates below. That again can also be all text entered, so it's fairly free and flexible in that way. Date and time, so this is the big part, mainly from an invoicing point of view. What we do is we can have a pickup date And the pickup date could just be, for example, the customer says they're coming on a Monday, but they might not get there till Tuesday. And then we have an actual pickup date. System calculates this all from the actual pickup date. We then have no end dates. So on some of the customers that we work with, they hire out an asset but they don't expect it back. They might let the customer keep it for a couple of months, like trucks, that type of stuff. So what we allow the system to do is calculate no end date. So what happens is at the end of every month, we just get the system basically to calculate and to run the invoicing based on the month or the days that the actual asset's been on hire, and I will go into that a little bit later in the video. And then what you can also do is you can also pause the hire. Might be a bit more of a unique scenario, but we allow the admins to pause the hire for a couple of days should anything need to be done, say there's something wrong with the vehicle or the tool, and what will happen is it won't charge the customer for that period. Parts and assets, so coming over we have, for example, collection charges. If you're delivering the asset or you're picking the asset up, we have collection charges and delivery charges for that. Any deposit info that you capture, so if you capture it in cash or card or anything like that, again, put that in there. Payment details, not as relevant as it's no longer used, but if, for example, you wanted to link that to a third-party gateway such as Elevon or WorldPay, you could potentially do that into here. And then any notes that you keep around that. So then any transaction and invoices which appear against that booking are here on the left-hand side. And again, if you're responding to any inquiries or any questions the customer has, you've also got the response manager for that here on the left-hand side. So moving on quickly, so as part of the system for our assets, especially if you've got vehicles, what we do capture as well is the service history. So any service history that's added against the assets or is done, you can add that in for the asset. You can put the type of service, title, and we allow you to record based on the kilometers and miles or the hours that the vehicle's been there, the date, cost, the cost of that work, that's an internal costing, and then you can get it to update, for example, the MOT dates, the service dates, so on and so forth. And you can also attach the document and any images of the work done against that, and the app and the system, will keep a record of that the whole time you have a hold of that asset. And then last but not least, we have a bit of some reporting from here. So we have quite a lot of options available from the reporting. So we can run asset reports, we can run reports based on the value of the assets hired, we can run specific transactions, we can run category transactions, we can run general reports. The system has quite a lot available in there. I'm not going to go into every single report. We can run it based on bookings, we can do it based on customers. Again, there are a lot of options around that. We can also run day-end, month-end reports based on the number of transactions and stuff that you've actually put through the system. And to give you a bit of an idea, we'll show one of these on the screen now. But again, that control and that option is all there. And again, we have also what we call our custom reports on the left hand side, which is here. Our custom reports basically can go into, like, you can say you can run it on a cash level. We can run, for example, site revenue, frequency, how often we want to do that, every week, every month, every day. And what will happen is we'll run a report that based on that, every month we've taken, for example, this much in, for example, cash. Yeah, and that's all. If you do have any questions around that, let us know. There's quite a lot in there, so if you want to say anything more specifically, please reach out and we can cover that. That's great. Thanks.